Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. Like bonus video today because we've got news. We have news. That's right, another update on the free city of Sintranos is brand new content which is coming to the game. We will also in this video give a quick discussion about the map. We did a stream over on Deadwood Jedi's channel talking about this, me and 5 of the other content creators. But let's take a look at the new thing first and then we'll go through our thoughts. Let's full screen this bad boy. Let me turn on the volume so you can hear, and let's go.
Welcome to the Cursed City of Sintranos. Chart your own path amid the branching streets. Choose which challenges to face and unravel the mystery of the Eclipse Tower.
The Cursed City, pretty badass. Okay. Well, what I'm absolutely digging about this, right? Let's build on what we learned. I'm really impressed by this now. This is exactly what I wanted to see. This is what we learned from the Deadwood Jedi stream, right? This is the map. It's a bit higher quality so you guys can see the full thing. This is the map of the Cursed City of Sintranos. This is the new content that is coming. And what we were told when we were doing Deadwood Jedi's video was that each of these 4 different districts, Cobble Market, Plagueholm, Deadrise, and Soulcross, would each have 25 stages that they were actually described to us, I think maybe a bit misleadingly, as new dungeons, right? 4 new dungeons, each with 25 levels. Now, why I say that's a bit misleading is if I go to the game, okay, like the dungeons in the game, they're all the same thing. And I'm hoping that's not what it is, but like, you know, stage 7 is the same as stage 8, it's the same as stage 9 and 10. They're all the same, it's just it gets slightly harder. I'm hoping that's not what it's going to be. But this gives me very, very great hope. So looking at this, basically what you can see is 2 things I was really hoping for. Is number 1, branching paths throughout this. I think that is what makes it interesting. Instead of a dungeon where it's just I do stage 6, then 7, then 8, then 9, then 10, and blah, 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 and it's all in a row and they're all the same. This has choice, and I think that's very important. You can choose which way to go. So, maybe I want to go down this right-hand side of Cobble Market and go over into Plagueholm. Maybe that's what I want to do first. Maybe I get stuck over on this side and I've got to switch something up. That gives me a lot of hope. Another thing which is really interesting is I'm just looking at this. Are these stages that are marked in red, right? We've got 1, 2, 3 stages marked in red. We've got this giant red in the middle, which is Amius with an M. We immediately got messaged by the community manager, one of them in Plarium Aces. She immediately messaged us after the Deadwood stream, was like, guys, that was amazing. We loved it. It is Amius, though. It's not Aeneas. Which we thought it was. So that was quite hilarious. We had a ton of fun. Some giggle fits were had on the stream about Aeneas and his tower and, you know, penetrating through to Aeneas and all that. It was a good time. But is Amius. So I'm thinking he's the final boss, right? This in the middle. They did talk about needing 3 different keys. So I wonder if you have to, I don't know, beat one of the bosses in each of these areas, and that will unlock the ability to go to Amius. And of course, to maximize your rewards, I'm assuming you're going to clear out everything. So it looks like, let me play this through again. I will mute it though, so we can pay more attention. Just the number of red things per zone. So we've got 3 red in Cobble Market. 1, 2, 3 red over there. I didn't see the green one. 1 in the corner. 2, 3. It's got to be 3. I didn't see the green, but I'm assuming it's 3. It's pretty much got to be, right? So it does look like there are, let's say, 3 boss stages in each one of these. And I suppose you could count it up and see if there's 25 in this graphic or not. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 4, 5, 25. Yeah, there's 25 in Soulcross at least. Yeah, so 25, 22 normal stages, 3 boss stages, ultimate boss in the middle. Seems cool. Now, what are we expecting for bosses? Well, one of the big things they've been teasing is this. Opposites attract. Imagine Fyro, the Fire Knight, normal Fire Knight, it looks like, and Clysis, the normal Ice Golem, teaming up, fighting 2 bosses at the same time. Very intriguing. The other one they teased was Borgoth, the Scarab King, and Dragon. right? The normal dragon. Again, very, very interesting stuff. I think that's quite cool. That sets it a bit different. I kind of like for the normal dungeon bosses to come back as you have to fight two of them at once. I actually think that's a cool idea. I did see there was a comment, which is lack of ideas. I actually disagree. I think that's fine. I'm actually totally cool with that, with them revamping some old bosses for this. I think it'd be quite fun. What I would personally like to see, I would love if there was one unique boss per area, right? If there was, and that would be pretty big. That would be 4 bosses plus the middle. It'd be 5. That would be 5 brand new bosses for this content. That's an awful lot of new bosses to drop all at one time, on top of hopefully interesting stages with interesting things happening on those stages. I don't know if we get that. That would be my hope. But we'll see. It's possible we're just going to have revamped bosses in all of these. I certainly think Amius is going to be a brand new boss. I'm expecting it to be very difficult. Going to be the type of content that's sort of geared at probably mythical champions and awakened champions and super endgame stuff. I'm expecting it to be very hard. One of the things that we do not know is how are there going to be multiple difficulty levels? I think this is interesting, right? Deadwood asked this on the stream. I didn't get to answer, which was philosophically, right? How difficult do you want the game to be? Or like, what is good difficulty? I think it's a really good question. It's actually really interesting because, I think endgame players, we can often fall into a trap of saying, oh, we want a new challenge. We want a new challenge. But then they bring out new challenges. Like there's no question that the Sand Devil's Fortress is extremely difficult. Or whatever it's called. That Iron Twins Fortress, fairly difficult, but Sand Devil, extremely difficult. Phantom Shogun's very difficult as well. These are really, really difficult pieces of content. But are they fun? In my opinion, no, absolutely not. Right? Challenge and fun are related, but they're not the same thing. For me, philosophically, I think it boils down to this. I think with dungeons that you're supposed to farm, it's something I think the original, like Dragon and Ice Golem, all of those did very well, is that they're not crazy difficult, actually. They're not that hard, really. Even Demon Lord Clan Boss, it's not really that hard. It's actually very simple. And it opens up a huge variety of team compositions that you can use, and especially with these farming content you're doing constantly, improving your teams is more about doing it faster, right? Oh, cool. Look how insanely fast I can clear the Dragon's Lair. That's sick. But actually beating it in the first place isn't that hard. You can do it. The motivation to min-max is to do it faster, to save yourself time, to be efficient, to crush tournaments, that sort of thing. I think that's the problem then. You go to Sand Devil and you go to Phantom Shogun, right? Which again are supposed to be farming, and it's not that at all, right? It's not, they're easy to beat, but you can sort of min-max and make your team faster. No, it's like you need extremely specific champions to be able to do it at all. And it's basically you have those champions and you do it with those champions, or you don't do it, right? There's not much min-maxing really. And there's not much variety. It's either you've got the Riho Bone Spear plus others composition for Sand Devil, or you're just not doing it fast. And yeah, there's a couple of interesting strategies. Like I used Godseeker and Eerie. There's some potential revive on death stuff, but it's so limited. I think that makes it not fun. Doom Tower is a little bit different, right? I think with Doom Tower, and possibly with this city as well, seeing as you're only going to be fighting perhaps one of these bosses like once per month, maybe, I think you could actually make them quite hard. I think with Doom Tower, it can work when a boss is obnoxiously difficult, like the Sand Devil, because you only have to beat it once per month. So then it's not too bad, right? You can have something much more challenging. But if this is the sort of thing that we want to farm, are you going to do it a lot? I think that's where you can't have it be crazy hard. You want to have the variety and you want to have it be more about min-maxing. That's sort of my thought on it philosophically. Let me know what you think about that. But yeah, I'm very curious how this will go. I'm personally excited to have more, hopefully, sort of wave-based content. I think that is going to be cool. I think there's tons of champions in this game that do really interesting things, have really interesting crowd control kits and debuffs and stuff like that, and team protection that don't get enough of a look in. Like, I think Hydra is really good for bringing in a ton of new champions, but there's still a ton of types of champions you don't use in Hydra. Like control champions just don't really see a spot at all in Hydra, apart from Provoke, of course. But other control champions just don't see a spot in there. Yes, they see a spot in Doom Tower, but that's been out for so long now that's quite easy for later game players. So there's not that much excitement about it. Whereas control champions could be absolutely massive depending on what you've got to face in here. So I'm very intrigued. But this is the new info. This looks great. I love this idea that you're going to be able to choose which way to go. I've heard there's a monthly rotation of this content. I'm not sure what's going to change in that. And I think personally, I would like to see a normal and a hard difficulty at least to start, so that earlier game players can come in on normal and make a stab and smash through it. And then later game players can go through on hard, and it's a much bigger challenge. And maybe they could add brutal or nightmare difficulties after that, like to crank up the challenge. I think some scalability there is good, so that everyone can enjoy the content, but there's still motivation to push up higher, because let's be honest, right? The gap, this opens up at level 52, right? The gap between a player at level 52 and a Mega Kraken who's going in with basically almost every single legendary in the game, half of them at +4. The difference between those two players, like, they're not even playing the same game anymore, right? It's absolutely ridiculous. So how can both of those players, which do exist and want to experience this content, how can they both enjoy the same content? That's a designer's nightmare, let me tell you. But they dug themselves that own hole, of course, by adding in empowerment and ascension and all of the power creep stuff. But they've got to make it work for all those players. I think multiple difficulty levels is likely the way to go. But yeah, I'm excited to see. I'm also very curious what other boss combos they're going to have. But yeah, personally, very excited. I'm super hyped for this. I think this is exactly the type of content that we need. Really big content, lots of boss fights, lots of stuff to sink our teeth into, make new teams, see new types of champions come in. This is pretty much exactly what is needed for the game. I think it looks great. There you go. This is my thoughts on it so far. You can check out the stream with Deadwood, where we also talked about it as well all together. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.